long ago, before clocks measured hours, the heavens shimmered with untamed light. The earth sang softly, carrying secrets deep in roots and rivers. Above all stood Zeus, Lord of thunder, keeper of skies, ruler of storm. He watched the mortal world with eyes of flame and patience of stone. Yet whispers rose, carried by winds from forgotten corners of creation. They spoke of a Titan unlike any other, born of shadow and fire, not a being of rage, nor a creature of pure destruction, but something caught between night and flame, a power-seeking form. On Olympus, omens gathered strange embers glowing against the horizon. The stars dimmed, as though bowing to a hidden presence below. Priests trembled, oracles murmured, their voices echoing riddles in the dark. Even the gods, immortal and proud, felt unease in their hearts. Zeus alone stood calm, thunder in his veins and judgment in his gaze. He knew the world was shifting, the balance tipping in silence. And so begins our tale, not of conquest, but of discovery. A story where lightning meets shadow, and fire whispers to storm. This is the legend of Zeus and the Shadowfire Titan. Night draped the heavens in velvet silence, yet something stirred beyond the veil of stars. The air carried a faint glow, as if unseen hands painted fire across the horizon. In the quiet corners of Olympus, the gods felt the shift before they saw it. Birds flew in strange patterns, their wings beating in restless circles above the trees. Winds whispered words no mortal tongue could catch, a language born of silence. At the temples below, flames bent sideways, trembling as though in reverence. The world itself seemed to breathe differently, heavy with meaning not yet revealed. Zeus stood upon his golden throne, the weight of eternity in his gaze. He listened, not with ears, but with the deep current of storm inside him. The thunder within stirred, sensing an echo it could not name. Hera watched quietly, her eyes keen, searching the sky for an unseen flame. Hermes returned from distant travels, speaking of shadows that glowed like burning glass. Athena pondered deeply, her mind weaving reason into threads of divine caution. Even Apollo, radiant and sure, played notes that trembled with hidden unease. The gods, for all their might, knew they faced something beyond ordinary fate. Zeus rose, his voice steady, carrying across the marble halls of Olympus. "Something rises," he said, his words low thunder, calm yet unshakable. "It is not storm nor flame, but a union the world has forgotten." The assembly listened, their silence deeper than any storm that ever passed. Outside, mortals noticed too, though they lacked the names for what they felt. Children spoke of glowing shadows and dreams, warm yet strange in their embrace. Fishermen claimed the sea flickered with light, though no moon graced the night. Travelers saw mountains glimmer faintly, as if coals smoldered beneath stone skin. Every whisper added to a tapestry of wonder, woven in both fear and awe. For this was no ordinary omen, but a prelude to something vast. Zeus descended from Olympus, his form cloaked in silver clouds and lightning hush. He walked the world not as ruler, but as listener, tracing signs with care. Forests greeted him, with quiet rivers, hummed low songs. Skies held their breath. At a lonely cliff, he paused, watching the horizon glow faintly red. Not the red of war, nor of dawn, but of fire hidden in shadow. The earth spoke then, not in words, but in a deep trembling sigh. And Zeus understood. This presence was not born of hatred, nor hunger. It was something older, shaped from silence, flame, and forgotten night. Still, unease lingered, for balance trembled where such forces touched the world. Zeus returned to Olympus, bearing the weight of mystery in his steps. The gods gathered again, eager for answers he did not yet possess. He told them of the glow, the sigh of earth, the silence of skies. Athena spoke first. "It seeks meaning, not conquest. That is my counsel." Ares frowned, fire in his voice. "Then it is still a threat untamed." Hermes tilted his head, smiling softly. "Or perhaps a traveler, lost in time." Zeus said nothing, for his thoughts were lightning without thunder, restless and vast. He knew only this: The world would soon meet the Shadowfire Titan. And when it did, nothing god, mortal, or flame would remain unchanged. Thus the whispers grew louder, a hymn rising from shadow into dawn, and the tale moved forward, carried on winds that knew more than words. The sun had barely risen when whispers reached the marble halls of Delphi. The oracle stirred from her slumber, visions burning brighter than flame, her chamber filled with incense, curling smoke that seemed alive with secrets. Priests gathered in silence, their eyes fixed upon her trembling hand. She spoke, her voice layered, as though time itself borrowed her tongue. A Titan shall rise, born of shadow and fire, neither darkness nor light. The words echoed, heavy as stone, impossible to forget once heard. They will walk between extremes, seeking not ruin, but balance restored. And should the gods resist, storms of silence will blanket the world. The prophecy rippled outward, carried on wind, through temple and field. Mortals heard fragments, each reshaped by fear, wonder, or hope. Some claimed the Titan would bring harvests richer than gold. Others feared a veil of endless night, swallowing all dawn. But for Zeus, the words landed like thunder upon still skies. He had heard prophecies before, but this one carried a deeper weight. Not destruction, not conquest, but balance, a concept gods often ignored. Zeus rose from Olympus, lightning murmuring faintly around his steps. He descended to Delphi, where the oracle waited, pale, yet radiant. She looked upon him, eyes distant, as though she saw both past and future. "Lord of Thunder," she said, her voice calm, "you cannot fight this alone." Zeus listened, his silence more powerful than words, his gaze steady. What seeks balance cannot be bound by chains nor scattered by storm. The oracle leaned closer, whispering a truth meant only for him. "In the meeting of your thunder and their Shadowfire, harmony may bloom." Zeus nodded slowly, though his heart thundered with restless questions. He turned to leave, but the oracle called out once more, "Beware pride, for pride is the veil that blinds both god and Titan." The words lingered, clinging like dew upon his immortal skin. As Zeus departed, Hermes appeared, curiosity dancing in his quick smile. "Prophecy again, Father? Shall we chase shadows across the sky?" Zeus looked to him, thunder hidden beneath calm, and said nothing. For in his heart, the storm already knew the truth of balance. Back on Olympus, the gods gathered once more in restless debate. Athena urged caution, her mind turning prophecy into careful counsel. This Titan is not foe nor ally until choice is revealed. Apollo strummed his lyre, the notes strange, uncertain, unresolved. He whispered, "Perhaps they are a song, one we have yet to learn." Ares slammed his spear, sparks flashing, his temper loud as fire. Prophecies twist words. I say, strike before shadow spreads its roots. Hera's gaze swept the chamber, cool, yet steady, full of quiet wisdom. Fear clouds judgment. We must see the Titan before we judge them. The gods murmured, their voices weaving like storm clouds before rain. Yet all turned to Zeus, whose silence carried greater weight than words. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm thunder rolling across marble walls. The oracle's vision is not of conquest, but of balance. Forgotten, we must meet this Titan not with chains, but with open storm. His words settled like rain upon dry earth. Uneasy, yet cleansing. The assembly fell quiet, unsure whether to fear or to trust. And far below, beyond the reach of gods in their debate, the Shadowfire Titan stirred faintly, its heart glowing ember red, neither awake nor asleep, but waiting, as if called by prophecy. The world held its breath, caught between thunder and silent flame. And so the prophecy was set, guiding gods, mortals, and Titan alike. A tale unfolding not through war, but through the search for harmony. The halls of Olympus shimmered with gold, yet unease clung like storm clouds. Zeus summoned the gods, their thrones circling the chamber in radiant order. Marble walls reflected firelight, while the air pulsed with restless divinity. One by one they arrived, their voices echoing before words were spoken. Athena came first, wisdom steady in her calm, thoughtful gaze. Hermes darted in next, light-footed, carrying news like sparks in wind. Apollo's lyre strummed faintly, his music soft, yet filled with questions. Ares entered with fire in his step, his spear restless with sparks. Hera followed, her presence regal, steady as the moon's guiding glow. Poseidon stirred the air, scent of salt and storm rolling in with him. Demeter came gentle, eyes green with growth, her hands smelling of soil. Finally, Dionysus, laughter subdued, carrying wine that failed to soothe hearts. Zeus rose, lightning in his eyes, and silence fell like heavy rain. "My kin," he began. "The world whispers of change we cannot ignore. A Titan of Shadowfire stirs, neither foe nor friend, but balance reborn." The chamber rippled with unease, each god tasting prophecy in silence. Athena leaned forward, voice clear. "We must listen before we decide." Hermes laughed lightly. "Listen, yes, but also follow shadows carry stories." Apollo strummed 3 notes, uncertain chords hanging between fear and wonder. Ares slammed his spear, sparks dancing. "Balance or not, it is danger. Strike swiftly before it grows beyond our reach." His voice thundered sharp. Demeter shook her head, her voice calm as fields in spring. "Not all fire consumes, not all shadows conceal. Some nourish as well." Poseidon frowned, waves in his tone. "But storms rise when balance fails." Hera lifted her hand, her voice smooth as silver and steady. "Fear clouds reason. We must not let haste unravel the threads of fate." Dionysus raised his cup, though his smile faltered. "Balance invites madness too." The gods debated, voices weaving storm against song, fire against silence. Zeus listened, thunder beneath his calm, weighing words heavier than stone. Finally, his voice broke through, rolling steady as a timeless river. "We cannot bind what is not yet judged, nor destroy what seeks harmony. The Titan may carry flame, but flame can forge as well as ruin." The chamber fell still, each god tasting the weight of his words. Athena nodded slowly, her wisdom aligning with thunder's steady course. Hermes smirked, but said no more, curiosity already pulling him outward. Apollo plucked softer notes, as though testing music the Titan might bring. Ares grumbled, but silence held him, his fire dimmed by Zeus's resolve. Hera's gaze softened, steady moonlight shining calm across stormy faces. Demeter breathed hope, whispering, "Then perhaps new roots may grow from this." Poseidon crossed his arms, the sea inside him restless but resigned. Dionysus drank deep, uncertain if balance would mean joy or sorrow. Zeus raised his hand, and the hall brightened with living thunderlight. "We will meet the Titan not as conquerors, but as seekers of truth. If they bring ruin, we will stand. If they bring balance, we will learn." The words settled across Olympus, neither comfort nor threat, but a vow. Outside, the skies grew restless, clouds swirling as if to listen. Mortals below saw strange lights, auroras bending across twilight skies. Children pointed upward, whispering of gods gathering to speak with fire. Priests trembled, sensing the great assembly shaping fate in unseen halls. And in the quiet distance, the Titan stirred, its ember heart glowing, for the whispers of Olympus reached even shadow and flame alike. The world held its breath, waiting for thunder to meet Shadowfire. And so the gods prepared, not for war, but for revelation to come. The night was calm, yet the horizon pulsed with an ember glow unseen before. Zeus descended from Olympus, his steps wrapped in stormlight and silent thunder. He walked as a traveler, not a king, listening to the breath of earth. Forests whispered with rustling leaves, their shadows bending in strange directions. Rivers shimmered faintly, as if molten sparks flowed beneath their calm surface. Mortals dared not leave their homes, sensing a presence beyond their knowing. Only the winds carried whispers, speaking of fire hidden within shadow. At the edge of a desolate valley, Zeus paused, his gaze steady. There, the ground trembled faintly. as though a heartbeat stirred deep within. A glow rose slowly, not violent, but steady, like dawn held in secret. The air thickened, shimmering between light and dark, warmth and cold. Then it appeared the Titan, vast yet graceful, cloaked in shadowfire. Its eyes shone like eclipses, twin circles of flame wrapped in night. It did not roar, nor strike, but stood still, breathing with the earth. For a moment, neither god nor Titan moved, silence heavier than storms. Zeus felt the pull of its gaze, ancient and unyielding, yet curious. The Titan tilted its head, as if studying thunder made flesh. Its voice broke the stillness, low and resonant, a song of stone. I am born of fire and shadow, yet I belong to neither realm. Zeus did not answer at once, for wisdom grew in silence before speech. He watched the embers on its body flicker, glowing without consuming. Finally he spoke, his tone calm, the thunder within subdued yet present. I am Zeus, keeper of skies. I do not come to bind you. The Titan's form shifted slightly, the flames within pulsing like thought. You do not fear me? It asked, voice like a mountain in wind. Fear comes when fire burns without purpose, Zeus replied, steady as stone. But you are not destruction. You are question, and questions deserve answers. The Titan's eyes glowed brighter, not in menace, but in recognition. The valley around them brightened, auroras shimmering across the midnight sky. Trees bent but did not break. Rivers stirred but did not spill. Shadow and lightning brushed against each other, neither seeking to dominate. The Titan lowered its gaze, as though weighed by truths untold. I was shaped from silence, forgotten flames, and the night's deepest breath. I seek not war nor dominion, but the place where opposites meet. Zeus felt the storm within him shift, thunder softening into quiet rain. In the Titan's voice he heard not threat, but the longing of balance. Yet questions remained, heavy as mountains resting upon his divine heart. Why had such a being awakened now, after ages of silence? What role did prophecy whisper for them both in this unfolding path? Zeus took a step closer, lightning crackling faintly beneath his stride. If balance is your path, then I will walk with you a while. The Titan exhaled, shadowfire rippling across the valley in gentle waves. Not destruction, not rage, but harmony forming in fragile beginnings. For the first time, God and Titan stood not as foes, but as mirrors. The earth quieted, rivers stilled, winds softened, as if listening. Stars above brightened, scattering light across the night like approval. And so began the first encounter, not with battle, but with recognition. A spark of understanding, fragile yet strong, lit the path ahead. The world, unaware, turned slowly beneath them, carrying both storm and flame. And in that silent valley, history bent toward harmony instead of conquest. The valley held its breath, caught between shadowfire glow and thunder hush. The Titan stood tall, its form shifting like smoke, solid yet fleeting. Zeus watched in silence, lightning quiet beneath his calm and steady gaze. At last, the Titan lowered its head, embers flickering across its chest. Its voice rose deep, a sound of mountains moving and rivers sighing. I am called Shadowfire, not by name but by the truth of being. Born of forgotten flame, molded in silence, carried by night's breath. I am neither darkness that devours, nor flame that consumes without end. Zeus remained still, allowing the words to weave into the waiting air. The Titan's eyes glimmered, eclipses glowing as if to mirror distant stars. I have wandered unseen, felt in tremors, whispered in the edges of dreams. Mortals know me not, yet they feel me when dusk and dawn embrace. I seek not conquest, nor the throne of gods, nor the fear of men. My path is balance, the place where shadow and fire are one. The words flowed with solemn grace, neither plea nor threat, but truth. Zeus listened, thunder within him shifting into something almost like still rain. He saw not an enemy, but a mystery, walking in ancient form. Why now? Zeus asked at last, his voice rolling soft as low thunder. Why rise from silence after ages where even gods forgot your name? The Titan paused, Shadowfire pulsing, its breath slow as a settling storm. Because the world trembles, it said, pulled apart by light and darkness. Mortals seek extremes, gods cling to pride, and the earth bears the strain. I am not answer, nor ending, but bridge, a flame born to bind. The valley stirred with the weight of those words, trees bowing gently. Stars above shimmered brighter, as though listening to a truth unspoken. Zeus stepped forward, the stormlight of his form brushing Shadowfire glow. You speak of balance, he said, but balance is a burden unending. The Titan inclined its head, shadows curling like waves across its shoulders. A burden shared is lessened. A bridge is walked, not carried alone. Zeus felt the words strike deeper than thunder, cutting through immortal silence. He thought of Olympus, its pride, its endless debates of conquest and order. He thought of mortals, fragile yet resilient, living between night and dawn. And he thought of prophecy, the oracle's voice warning of pride's blind veil. The Titan's voice softened, low and steady, like fire hidden in coal. I did not rise to rule. I rose because the world called me forth. Shadow seeks fire. Fire seeks shadow. Together they weave the middle path. Zeus closed his eyes briefly, the storm inside bending toward reflection. When he spoke again, it was not as ruler, but as seeker. Then we must learn from one another. For lightning too holds balance. Between destruction and renewal, between fear and awe, it finds purpose. The Titan's ember heart glowed brighter, casting warm light across the valley. For the first time, its form steadied, less shadow, more flame alive. It bowed its head slightly, not in submission, but in recognition of kin. Two forces stood together, not as opposites, but as echoes of harmony. The earth itself seemed to sigh, rivers calming, winds softening in relief. Above, the night sky blossomed with auroras, ribbons of color weaving vast arcs. Mortals miles away looked up, whispering of miracles painted upon the heavens. And though they knew not why, their hearts grew still with quiet hope. For in that moment, the Titan spoke not only to Zeus, but to all. Its words carried through silence, across mountain, sea, and dream alike. A promise of balance, fragile yet powerful, kindled beneath stars eternal. Thus, the first true voice of the Shadowfire Titan joined the world. And from that night forward, the path of gods and mortals shifted forever. The night faded slowly, dawn painting the sky with gold and crimson fire. Zeus stood still, watching the Titan, their silence holding more than words. The Shadowfire Titan glowed faintly, as though day dimmed but could not erase it. Then the air shifted, carrying with it a whisper from beyond. It was not wind, nor mortal voice, but something woven into destiny. Zeus knew it at once, the call of the oracle, timeless and sure. Her voice came like water, flowing between thought and dream without warning. Two flames walk the world, born of storm and shadow's hidden breath. One seeks balance, the other pride, yet both must stand together. For if they falter, the weave of earth and sky shall fray. The Titan bowed its head, as if it too could hear her words. Zeus closed his eyes, thunder low inside, carrying the weight of prophecy. The oracle spoke again, her voice stronger, like waves breaking on rock. The path is not war, nor conquest, nor the rule of gods alone. It is a bridge, fragile yet bright, where light and shadow must meet. And beware, for pride is the silent flame that consumes unseen. Her voice faded like mist at sunrise, leaving silence heavy in its wake. The Titan stirred, embers rippling across its vast frame with quiet thought. Zeus broke the silence first, his voice steady but touched with weight. The oracle speaks of pride. Olympus thrives on it. Gods cling to it. And yet, the Titan replied, mortals also grasp pride, though in smaller fires. Perhaps it is not pride itself, but its hunger that brings ruin. Zeus nodded, for even lightning was prideful, striking to be seen. Yet lightning could also guide. illuminating paths in deepest darkness. The Titans step closer, each movement slow, deliberate, carrying ancient grace. If prophecy binds us, then so too does choice. We walk, but how? Zeus turned his gaze skyward, clouds shifting with colors of rising dawn. We walk not as king and titan, but as keepers of balance. Storm and Shadowfire, each fierce alone, but together, something whole. The Titan's ember eyes glowed brighter, warmth breaking through its dark shroud. Then our journey begins not in battle, but in learning one another. They move together, leaving the valley, their steps echoing across still earth. Mortals watched from afar, awed but unafraid, sensing peace within the sight. Birds sang cautiously, their songs weaving back into the morning air. The world, fragile and vast, seemed to lean gently toward hope. Yet Zeus felt the oracle's warning stir within his immortal chest. Pride, she had said, was the silent flame, hidden and consuming. And he wondered, as dawn broke brighter, whose pride she had meant. Was it his, unyielding lord of skies, ruler of gods and men? Or Olympus itself, its halls filled with endless voices demanding dominion? The Titan walked beside him, silent but steady, a presence unshaken. In its ember glow, Zeus felt his own storm ease, just slightly. Together, they crossed rivers and meadows, the world shifting in their wake. Not as conqueror and conquered, but as two forces seeking harmony. The oracle's voice lingered, soft but sharp, like a seed within soil. Her prophecy was not chain, but compass, pointing toward paths unknown. And so, beneath rising sun, their journey deepened, bound by fate and choice. The god of skies and the Titan of Shadowfire walked as one. And far above, unseen by both, the stars still burned in silent witness. The climb to Olympus began with silence, mountains draped in clouds of gold. Zeus walked with steady stride, the Titan following like a living dusk. Mortals watched from valleys below, awed by shapes etched against the heavens. Birds scattered at their passing, songs breaking like ripples on water. The higher they climbed, the more the air trembled with divine presence. Olympus loomed vast, its halls gleaming, built from stone and eternal light. At the gates, sentinels bowed, yet their eyes lingered on the Titan. Whispers followed questions of Shadowfire walking beside the Lord of Skies. Inside, gods gathered, their forms radiant, their voices sharp with pride. Hera stood first, her gaze piercing, queenly strength woven with suspicion. "Why bring this being here?" she asked, words calm but edged with steel. Apollo's light flared, golden and stern, his voice quick as striking flame. "A Titan is no ally, father. They are echoes of forgotten strife." Athena rose with quiet wisdom, her voice measured, yet carrying weight. "Perhaps not foe nor ally, but question one we must choose to answer." The hall stirred, voices rising, echoing, like storms bound within stone. Poseidon leaned forward, sea-blue eyes fierce as crashing waves upon rock. The seas tremble with this one's steps. What balance can such bring? The Titan stood still, silent, ember glow steady, presence neither loud nor meek. Then its voice rose, low and resonant, flowing like rivers through night. "I seek not to rule nor to unseat, nor to claim Olympus. I walk to bind where world frays, where pride pulls light from dark." The gods shifted uneasily, each hearing truth yet fearing its shape. Hera's eyes narrowed, sharp as polished steel beneath divine firelight. "Words are soft. Shadows can hide teeth. Why trust what once opposed?" Zeus raised his hand, thunder rippling softly, stilling the quarrel of voices. "I have seen this being," he said, calm but strong, words sure as lightning. "It speaks of balance, not conquest. Its fire does not consume without thought." But, Zeus continued, eyes narrowing, storm behind them, quiet but vast. "The oracle herself has spoken, warning of pride and silent flame." At her name, the hall fell quiet, gods shifting uneasily in place. Apollo frowned, light dimming slightly. his gaze turning inward with thought. Athena bowed her head, her wisdom stirring, already tracing unseen patterns. The Titan's ember eyes glowed brighter, yet its voice softened like calm wind. I do not ask your faith. I ask only space to walk my path. Balance cannot be forced, nor chained, nor bound within halls of pride. The words sank into stone, into silence, into the hearts of gods. For a moment, Olympus listened not as rulers, but as beings bound by fate. Hera exhaled, gaze softening, though her stance remained steady and firm. If this path must be walked, then let it be with eyes wide open. Athena nodded, adding, wisdom grows not from denial, but from facing the unknown. Even Poseidon leaned back, waves settling, though storms still brewed within. Zeus stood tall, stormlight around him steady, his voice final as decree. Then let it be so. The Titan walks not as enemy, nor as chained. It walks beside us, until the weave of prophecy reveals its end. The council quieted, unease heavy, yet bound now by choice unshaken. The Titan bowed slightly, ember fire glowing like dawn beneath darkened sky, and in Olympus, for the first time, Shadowfire stood within the light. Outside, the world stirred, rivers whispering, mountains humming, winds carrying change. The prophecy's path deepened, pride waiting, balance fragile, yet alive. And high above, stars watched in silence, witnesses to the turning of fate. Olympus lay quiet after the council, yet its silence throbbed with unrest. The gods dispersed, but whispers lingered, weaving doubt through marble halls. Zeus sat alone, stormlight dim, his mind heavy with the oracle's words. The Titan stood nearby, still and watchful, fire flickering like a heartbeat. Neither spoke for a time, yet silence itself seemed to ask questions. At last, Zeus rose, his gaze distant, turned toward the vast horizon. Pride, he muttered softly. It clings to Olympus like ivy to stone. The Titan's voice answered low, steady as embers beneath quiet ash. Pride is a flame that grows unseen until it consumes its bearer. Zeus frowned, the storm within him crackling faint though controlled. I fear the oracle's words point not to mortals, but to us. The Titan nodded, its eyes glowing with quiet reflective fire. Olympus fear balance, for balance lessens power, softens command, humble pride. They walked together through colonnades, past fountains, singing with immortal waters. Every statue of gods loomed proud, carved in perfection, untouched by time. Zeus's eyes lingered on them, wondering if stone mirrored their hearts. The Titan paused, watching him, then spoke again, voice deep as roots. Even gods forget they too are bound by the weave of world. Zeus sighed, shoulders heavy, lightning dim like rain clouds losing their fury. Without pride, would Olympus fall? Or would it at last stand firm? The Titan's answer came slow, like a mountain giving voice to truth. Without pride, Olympus might bend, but bending is not breaking, it is strength. Zeus considered, thunder rolling softly, as if sky itself weighed the thought. Yet doubt gnawed quietly, for pride was the very pillar of Olympus. Suddenly, Hera appeared, her step sharp, her eyes blazing with resolve. You risk too much, Zeus, she said, her voice both warning and plea. This Titan's presence will divide us. Already Apollo doubts, Poseidon stirs. Zeus met her gaze, calm yet burdened. Stormlight muted but unyielding. Division is born of fear, not of the Titan's presence alone. Hera's lips pressed thin, her words cutting but not without truth. You gamble Olympus on prophecy. On Shadowfire you barely understand. Zeus's reply was quiet, yet firm, his voice echoing like slow thunder. Better to face what is unknown than be consumed by unseen pride. Hera turned, her expression unreadable, leaving silence heavy behind her. The Titan spoke softly, firelight flickering against marble pillars. She fears losing what she holds, as all who carry pride must. Zeus nodded, though weariness lingered deep in his immortal frame. Her fear is not baseless. Pride has kept Olympus strong through ages, The Titan's gaze held his ember eyes unwavering, calm as eternal flame, and yet it is pride that may also shatter it beyond repair. The words struck deep, echoing through Zeus like thunder rolling into distance. He turned away, walking toward the balcony where stars still shimmered. The night stretched vast, eternal, indifferent to gods or titans alike. Zeus felt small, though he was lord of skies, master of storms. The Titan joined him, silent, then spoke with gentleness rare for its size. Even storms rest, Zeus. Even fire dims, only to rise again renewed. For the first time that night, Zeus allowed a faint smile to form, not of triumph, but of weary understanding, fragile yet grounding. Below them, mortals dreamed, unaware of the burden carried above. The oracle's words lingered still, heavy as mountains, sharp as lightning strike. Balance waited like dawn, unseen, fragile but certain, patient but relentless. And though Olympus glowed proud, cracks whispered quietly within its golden walls. The Titan's Shadowfire shimmered, steady, calm, a reminder of unseen truths. And Zeus knew the road ahead would test not his strength, but his humility. The dawn broke soft, painting Olympus in hues of rose and gold. Yet the light could not soften the weight pressing on Zeus's chest. The oracle's words clung to him, echoes that refused to fade away. Pride will blind, balance will heal, Shadowfire will judge. He repeated them quietly, as if the air itself needed reminding. The Titan stirred, its shadow flickering gently against marble columns. Together they stood, silent watchers of the waking mortal world. Below, villages hummed with life, fires lit, children laughed in meadows. Mortals knew nothing of Olympus's doubts, yet their lives mirrored its lessons. For pride stirred among them too, in kings, in rulers, in warriors. Zeus watched, and he understood pride was not bound to gods alone. The Titan's voice rumbled low, carrying wisdom carved from endless silence. Mortals live brief lives, yet they fall to the same shadow of pride. Zeus nodded, his stormlight calm, as though listening deeper than before. Perhaps pride is no curse of immortals, but a thread in all. The Titan's ember eyes glowed, reflecting both sorrow and quiet strength. It is not the thread that binds, but how one chooses to weave. Zeus breathed deeply, feeling the truth take root like lightning in soil. Yet he knew not all gods would see as he now began to. Already murmurs rippled, Apollo whispering doubt, Poseidon restless, Athena silent. Olympus trembled, not with quakes, but with the fragile weight of division. And in that fracture, the Titan's presence grew heavier, harder to ignore. Zeus summoned a council once more, thunder ringing through sacred peaks. The gods gathered, brilliant, proud, each bearing immortal fire in their eyes. Hera's gaze was sharp, Poseidon's voice restless, Athena's silence unreadable. Zeus spoke not with thunder, but with calm, measured, tempered words. Pride blinds us. We must see balance, or else Olympus will fall. The hall grew restless, voices rising, each god bound by their pride. Apollo scoffed, his light sharp. Balance is weakness. Olympus rules, it does not bend. Poseidon's trident struck marble, waves of fury rising in his tone. Mortals bow because they fear. Remove pride, and they will rise against us. Zeus listened, thunder silent, storm hidden but steady within his heart. The Titan stood behind him, flame quiet, shadow still, presence unyielding. Its silence was louder than the gods' chorus of protest and fear. Then Athena spoke, her words cool, each syllable cut with reason. Perhaps pride is not strength, but a wall. Remove it, and we may finally see. The hall fell into uneasy, quiet, gods, shifting, pride cracking at the edges. Zeus's gaze swept across them, heavy with both sorrow and command. Balance is not surrender. It is the foundation upon which all can stand. Hera's lips tightened, yet her eyes wavered, betraying flickers of uncertainty. Poseidon turned away, waves crashing faint within his immortal veins. Apollo's light dimmed, though pride still burned, though doubt began to stir. The Titan moved forward, fire glowing brighter, shadows weaving like breath. Its voice rumbled, steady, deep, carrying a truth beyond Olympus itself. Shadowfire does not destroy. It reveals. It burns away lies, leaving only essence. The gods shuddered, for in its words lay both warning and promise. Zeus raised his hand, lightning sparking faint, not in threat, but in clarity. Olympus must change. Pride must bend. Only then will prophecy not consume us. Silence fell again, thicker than storm, heavier than mountain, vast as sea. No god spoke further, yet none turned away from the Titan's flame. In that silence, the first seeds of balance began to root. Zeus stood firm, but within, he knew the storm was only beginning. The oracle's voice lingered, soft yet sharp. Shadowfire will judge. And though Olympus glowed proud still, the dawn hinted of a turning tide. For the road ahead was not war, but choice, pride or balance, fire or storm. The world held its breath, waiting for gods to learn what mortals already knew. That strength is not the refusal to bend, but the courage to endure. Night gave way to dawn, slow and quiet, as though the sky itself held its breath. Olympus gleamed golden, yet beneath the marble calm tension stirred like hidden storms. Zeus walked alone through the high courts, his footsteps echoing against timeless stone. The Titan followed, a shadow of flame, steady and patient as ever. "Today," Zeus whispered, "the choice must be made, and Olympus must bend or break." The Titan's ember eyes glowed, a reminder of prophecy carried in silence. They paused before the council chamber, doors carved with triumphs of immortal pride. Zeus studied the carvings, gods triumphant, mortals kneeling, titans chained in defeat. He felt the weight of it, the truth pressing hard against his heart. The doors opened, and the gods were already gathered, bright as constellations in flesh. Their eyes burned with pride, fear, and the stubborn fire of immortality. Zeus entered not with thunder, but with quiet resolve, storm hidden yet steady. "Brothers, sisters," he began, his voice deep, calm, cutting through the restless air. "The time has come to face the prophecy, to see what pride is hidden." The Titan stepped forward, its flame glowing brighter, shadows spilling like whispers. Gasps rose, for though they had seen it before, its presence was undeniable. "Shadowfire does not bow," Zeus declared, "nor does it seek conquest or crown. It seeks truth, and truth is what Olympus must face, no matter the cost." Apollo's light flickered uncertain. Poseidon's trident trembled faint. Hera's gaze remained sharp. Athena rose, her eyes calm, her words cutting clear as a polished blade. "Then let Shadowfire speak. Let it reveal what pride has long concealed." The Titan's fire swelled, shadows bending, filling the chamber with quiet brilliance. No god spoke as the flame licked marble, casting truths upon their hearts. Visions shimmered, mortals rising, empires falling, gods faltering under the weight of pride. Each god saw themselves, stripped bare, their strength and vanity woven together. Apollo saw his light dimmed by arrogance. Poseidon saw oceans choked by fury. Hera saw her devotion twisted into chains of control. Athena saw wisdom clouded by perfection. And Zeus saw thunder wielded not as shield, but as weapon of pride. The chamber fell silent, each immortal shaken, each vision burning like quiet fire. The Titan's voice rumbled, steady, eternal. "Shadowfire does not destroy. It reveals. What you do with truth is yours." The silence deepened, not of fear, but of awakening. Fragile, yet unshakable. Hera spoke first, her voice trembling but clear. "Pride blinds. I see it now." Poseidon lowered his trident, waves within him softening, crashing into stillness. Apollo bowed his head, his light dimmed, yet steadier than ever before. Athena closed her eyes, and when she opened them, wisdom shone without pride. Zeus stood last, his storm within quiet, his voice carrying calm authority. "Balance is not weakness, It is the strength that binds storm and fire, light and shadow. The chamber filled with stillness, but it was no longer the silence of fear. It was the silence of choice, the breath before dawn, the pause before change. The Titan dimmed its flame, shadows folding, its task complete, its truth delivered. The gods bowed not to it, but to the truth it had unveiled. Zeus lifted his gaze, thunder quiet, his voice steady as mountain roots. From this day, Olympus shall rule not through pride, but through balance. Storm and flame, wisdom and sea, light and devotion, all shall stand equal. The Titan's ember eyes glowed, steady, its fire a mirror of dawn's first light. And for the first time, Olympus did not shine with pride, but with harmony. Mortals below would never know this day, yet they would feel its echo. Their rulers would bend where once they broke, their voices carried softer power. And balance, fragile yet eternal, took root both in heaven and in earth. The oracle's prophecy had not ended in ruin, but in awakening. Shadowfire had judged not with destruction, but with truth unveiled. And Zeus, Lord of skies, learned that the greatest storm is the storm that yields. The dawn spread golden, vast and clear, and Olympus stood not taller, but stronger. For balance, once feared, had become its light. And so the tale of Zeus and the Shadowfire Titan found its peace.